What's up, guys? I'm Chad Barnes, and welcome to the channel. Here, it's all about real car talk, from simple fixes to smart driving tips and keeping your ride in top shape. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button and make sure you watch all the way through. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Let's get
Origins in the 90s of the last century in the American automobile design began to clearly feel the signs of crisis. The prevailing bio-design turned cars into faceless washers, and it was necessary to fight it somehow. Designers were desperately searching for new ideas, and for many, the style of cars of the 30s and 40s became a source of inspiration. Among them was Chrysler's chief designer Brian Nesbitt. In 1997 he introduced the Pronto concept, which soon became the production PT Cruiser. Initially in 2000, its production was established at the plant in the Mexican city of Toluca, and in 2002 the Eurostar plant in Austrian Graz joined the assembly. Technically, the car was built on the same platform as the mass-produced Dodge or Chrysler or Plymouth Neon. From this model it inherited the suspension and running gear. The main engine for the U.S. market was the proven 2.4-litre inline-4 EDZ PowerTech with an output of 143 or 152 horsepower. This engine was equipped with many models of the concern's brands. It was paired with a hydromechanical 4-speed transmission UltraDrive 41T. In Europe, the bet was made on another engine, 2-litre 141 horsepower ECC, as well as 2.2-litre diesel EDJ, aka Mercedes OM646. In 2003, a 223 horsepower EDV EDT turbo engine, developed on the basis of EDZ, the same motor was equipped with Dodge SRT4, was added to the range of engines. It is interesting that in America 5-speed manual gearbox GetRag was offered only in pair with this powerful unit. GT versions were equipped with such a bundle. A year later there were also some less sporty variants with the same turbo engine, deformed to 180 horsepower. PT Cruiser immediately gained popularity and received good reviews from experts and journalists. Suffice it to say that the PT Cruiser, for all Americans' love of large shapes, was recognized as the car of the year 2001 at NAS, the North American International Auto Show in New York. However, the model has always had its detractors. In 2013, Top Gear called the two-door open-top version of the PT Cruiser the worst car made in the last 20 years. Nevertheless, the PT Cruiser remained on the assembly line for 10 years and sold 1.35 million copies worldwide. The car turned out to be quite survivable and is presented on the aftermarket of many countries, including Russia. In our country it is sold at a price from 160 to 700,000 rubles, and the price does not always depend solely on the year of manufacture. So, the price of about 400,000 sellers can ask for cars as 2001 and 2008. But only whether it is worth it, because for the same money you can find a Kia Rio or Hyundai Solaris at the age of 5 years. This question does not have an unambiguous answer, because everything will depend on what purposes the car is bought for. But in any case it is worth to look at what its owners write about PT Cruiser. Whatever you say, but the decision to buy a C-segment car at such a solid age will be very risky. Already after 5 to 7 years one or another node starts to get tired, and the owner has a desire to sell his horse, leaving the problems. Both those that have already appeared and those that will inevitably appear in the near future, to the next owner. What to speak about such a car at the age of 10 to 20 years? All this is aggravated by the fact that many cars were once imported to Russia from American auctions, and in the U.S. not all owners treat the issue of maintenance with due respect. You have done the time, and then changed it. Well, the manufacturer works in full compliance with this approach. Hence, many problems occur, especially related to the work of electrics and service life of plastic parts. There can be no less problems with cars imported from Europe. There they were used in rental offices in huge numbers. A rental car is used very intensively for a couple of years, and then goes on the secondary market at a big discount. It is more profitable. Among the cars on our market may be drowned, restored after floods, and the mileage may be twisted. There are plenty of specialists in this procedure in the Baltic states and Poland. In any case, to find today a used PT Cruiser in a decent condition is very difficult. The copies available for sale are usually already well rolled up, and those, which were treated as a favorite toy, are not in a hurry to get rid of. All this means that you should pay special attention to inspections when buying. Owners advise, first, Not to neglect checking the history of the car on the Carfax system, in the case of American origin of a particular instance. Carefully inspect the condition of the box, timing belt, fan motor, all oil seals, and make sure there is no tendency to overheating. Fortunately, the most vulnerable and the most expensive to repair part of the car, its body, in the case of PT Cruiser, is characterized by excellent reliability. Thick iron provides mechanical strength, and continuous galvanization provides excellent resistance against the main enemy, corrosion. Owners testify. Recently one madam on Renoshka scratched, so she almost had a door dented, and I do not even have a scratch. My Cuzma, 2001 with a decent mileage, but does not cause any trouble, not a single rust. If the car is not beaten, the body will not be covered with rust neither in 10 years, nor in 20 years. I myself had a scratch. A minor accident, lapping. I did not paint and primed, 1.5 years, and no hint of rust. So, if at purchase on some parts of PT Cruiser there are traces of corrosion, then even in the case when the age of the car is close to 2 decades, it will indicate that the car was in a serious accident and a fairly deep body repair. It is clear that from the purchase in such a case should refrain, even if the price will seem more than sweet. In any case, it is worth considering that diagnostics, repair, and maintenance of PT Cruiser can be connected with quite certain difficulties. Actually, we have described them in our time quite thoroughly, but repetition, as they say, is the mother of learning. The whole point is that the external design predetermined a very tight arrangement of all the units located in the underhood space. As a result, to replace the timing belt it is necessary to remove the engine. The same operation is required for replacement of quite often suffering engine supports, and for such elementary operation, as replacement of candles, it is necessary to remove the intake manifold completely. What is there, even the replacement of bulbs in the headlights, and they are quite ordinary, as on the Jiguli, it is better to produce, hanging the car on the elevator. In principle, you can do it on the ground, having turned out wheels. Access to bulbs is carried out through special hatches in wheel recesses, but then you will have to show wonders of flexibility and acrobatics. Needless to say, that workers of many services, barely looking under the hood, make unimaginable grimaces and begin to charge prices. As for repair of the newest Mercedes model, for example, for the replacement of the timing belt can ask 20 to 25,000 rubles, and for the replacement of the cooling fan motor, 18 to 20,000. Plus, not all the necessary spare parts are available. You have to order them. In general, PT Cruiser is not very good in terms of emergency repair, although scheduled repair does not cause any special problems. Especially if you listen to the voice of experienced owners who recommend finding your service, where the masters will be familiar with the features of this model. There the repair prices may well be lower by the 3rd of May times. Subsequently, I found a normal service without claims. About the rarity of the car, and voila, I don't know any troubles with repairs. Plus many problems are solved by the built-in self-diagnostic system. In order to start it, it is enough to turn the ignition key 3 times from position 0 to the penultimate position. If everything is normal, done will appear on the onboard computer screen, and if not, write down the error codes and look for what they mean on the internet. But if you have found the right service, then the prices for spare parts and components will not ruin you, even in cases where the mileage of the car exceeded 200,000 kilometers. Despite its age, 2001, did not require large investments, spare parts in the affordable price category, repair, rarely and cheaply. For 2 years especially without investments. Original spare parts cost moderately, but if you want to save extra money, you can always find a suitable replacement. According to the owners, spare parts for PT Cruiser are a little more expensive than for VAZ. For example, the steering rack, non-original, costs about 12,000 rubles, the original, 25,000, for comparison, for the rack on Opel Astra ask 125,000 rubles, and on Mercedes C-Class, from 80,000 to infinity. The retractor relay costs 1,000 rubles, the filter of the automatic transmission, 550 rubles, silent blocks, non-original, 700 rubles. Original, 1,300 to 1,900 rubles. Hub bearing, 800, 100 rubles, filters, from 200, candles, about 150, high voltage wires, from 500 to 2,500 rubles per set. Replacement of oil and all filters costs only 4,000 rubles. In a word, the prices are not exorbitant. Here, the owners are not shy in expressions. They say that it is free, full communism. Again, difficulties in repair create only the density of the layout and the tightness under the hood, but otherwise Petia is a fairly simple car by design, and many operations can be done independently. I changed the engine mounts, upper and lower. I did it in half an hour, as everything is very simple there. I took 1,500 per piece. Plus, PT Cruiser does not mind much to be kolhozilized. Many people use and repair parts from Chrysler Sebring, Volga Sibba and Gazelles. For example, the radio receiver from Volga Sibba fits into the standard place without any problems, and its installation completely solves both the problem of frequency grid and reading records in MP3 format. And for those who want to make the appearance of the car quite unique, on eBay you can find a huge number of components for external tuning, and the company Mopa offers 3 stages of tuning of the motor and suspension, allowing to turn the car into a real hot hatch. There are almost no complaints on the internet about the reliability of PT Cruiser engines and gearboxes. The engine is simple, cast iron, proven. The gearbox is quite mass-produced and tested on millions of cars. If in time to carry out all routine procedures, no problems are expected. 200,000 run and will run the same amount. The main problems of cruisy owners consider weak suspension and often failing electrics. The suspension is really designed for good roads and poorly tolerates our directions. Suspension is enough for 50 to 80,000 mileage. Replacement of the whole will cost from 12 to 20,000 rubles, parts plus work. Suspension does not go for a long time. I am tired of changing silent blocks. They break off every 4 months. I put the original. Country roads are not for him. The running gear is not for our roads. It requires more frequent replacement of all sorts of bones. But the softness of the course is exceptional. The matter is that, as we have already mentioned, the automobile is built on the same platform, as well as much lighter Dodge Neon. As a result, the increased load leads to frequent failure of rear silent blocks of front levers, lever binder of rear crosspulls, helicopter, and struts of front stabilizer in general turn into a consumable material. On a good pothole they can be simply torn. Another group of problems is related to electrics. People often complain about the fog light switch. Personally, it failed on me. The fog lights were always on. I decided not to bother. I just took out the bulbs. I had a problem with the fog lights. They just turned on by themselves and burned even without the key in the ignition. Just replaced the paddle switch. Sometimes there are just mysterious, wandering defects whose causes remain unclear. For example, the headlight and dashboard lighting will go out, but after restarting the engine, the bulbs will light up again as if nothing had happened. Or after hitting a bump, the klaxon will stop working and will suddenly resume working after the next bump. Or one speed of the cooling system fan will stop turning on. It seems to be not fatal, but very annoying. Perhaps, for today PT Cruiser is more often bought as a favorite toy, but not as the only vehicle in the family. Nevertheless, this toy turns out to be very practical and comfortable, first of all, due to the voluminous interior with vertical landing. Here are rather typical impressions of the owner of such a toy. I was impressed by the interior, excellent music, high ergonomics, high-quality plastic, nothing squeaks, nothing glares, everything is comfortable and original. Huge steering wheel is just unparalleled, retro feeling on 5+. After such steering wheel Passatovsky seemed to me just toy-like. By the way, in comparison with the same Passat, 2007 visibility of the Cruiser is much better. You sit in it, not lie down. Cruisic's sunroof is very convenient. The car is incredibly warm. It is a real Africa. It warms up instantly, and it is already hot in a light coat. The salon is simply huge. I am ready to swear that Cruiser in this respect, maybe, and concedes to pure Aphrodis a la Patrol. But no sedan of business class or parketnik of average price can boast such spaciousness for passengers and driver. This is the chic of roominess and comfort. Americans carefully take care of their asses. Well, and, certainly, how to ignore the trunk with a miracle shelf. I consider it a separate fat plus. The shelf does wonders of transformation with the trunk. The interior is trimmed with hard, though high-quality plastic, but the seats in top packages are in genuine leather, which even after 19 to 20 years of use looks like new. The design itself is made in retro style, from round white dials of analog instruments to the selector of automatic transmission in the form of a cane with a ball head. The interior is so stylistically complete that any modern gadget like a navigator or cell phone looks somewhat alien in it. At the same time, in many reviews the authors claim that the interior design does not bore at all. They are delighted with the media system, which, although it has no AUX input and is not able to read MP3 because of some archaic character, is characterized by sound quality worthy of a premium class car, as well as by an excellent climate control system, Africa in winter and Antarctica in summer. Many reviews praise the exceptionally comfortable front row seats with armrests and adjustable lumbar support, in which you sit like in your favorite home chair, and it is also noted that the rear sofa is located slightly higher than the front, which is very pleasant for passengers. Chrysler PT Cruiser 2000 to 2010. The authors of reviews are also impressed by the transformation possibilities, especially the fact that the rear seats can be easily dismantled and taken out in folded form, like suitcases. In this case, the volume available for cargo placement is almost 2 cubic meters. I transported building materials, stove, and washing machine at the same time. Everything fit in. When I moved and when I made repairs, I transported cabinets, refrigerators, an old huge TV and much more. All summer I carried 2 bicycles in the cabin. However, the trunk of PT Cruiser and without it is notable for its capacity. A large stroller or folding sledges can fit in the trunk. I checked it personally. Everything fits in. Everything always fit in it. I could go to IKEA, to Lenta, on the way back to Leroy, taking 3 more people. And many owners consider PT Cruiser an ideal car for picnics. You open the trunk, pull out the rear shelf, put it on a special footrest. The table is ready, and you sit behind it under the canopy, which is formed by a huge 5th door. When it got cold, you got inside, lowered the front seats and 2 tables were ready. There is, however, one problem. You still need to get to the picnic place, and this can be a problem. PT Cruiser is a city car, and its ground clearance is not heroic at all. According to the official table, 166 millimeters, which seems to be quite enough. But this clearance, most likely, was measured as distance to the ground in the center of a body, and here the skirt of a front bumper hangs essentially lower even visually. As a result, the owner's right. You can't jump on curbs and curbs, but bumps and bumps, without consequences. Short overhangs somewhat improve the situation. I often drove off on a dirt road. The front skirt clings, but the short base and short front overhang help to pass. Crawls well on fresh snow, as the bottom is practically flat. The skirt is very low. Many lying policemen I cling. But I don't hit the bottom. In general, the authors come to the conclusion that there is no crime. In fact, there is no crime, just it is necessary to look more carefully where you steer, but quite unanimously put passability in the list of shortcomings of the model. But fuel economy, rather, should be attributed to controversial indicators. In some reviews, the authors believe that everything is good, while others complain about excessive appetite, at least for a car of this class, and call it one of the reasons why they decided to buy another car. By the way, owners of the 223 horsepower turbocharged version quite calmly put up with high consumption. I have 15 to 16 liters 100 kilometer in the city, with air conditioning and 20 can happen. Quite greedy, 13 to 15 liters in the city. If you push it, it can be even more. But it is forgiven, as emotions from driving are much more expensive. But as for the most widespread 2.4-liter motor, there was no unity. Some write that it eats a little, 10 to 11 liters per 100 in the city and about 5 liters on the highway. Others, that the city consumption is 13 to 15, and even 17 to 19 liters, and it is unacceptable much. One good thing, 2 4-liter motor drinks absolutely any gasoline and does not sneeze. One of the main advantages of PT Cruiser, its owners consider the behavior of the car on the road. First of all, the designers managed to achieve a very correct balance between driving comfort and controllability. Suspension, yes. It is wobbly, but on the highway it goes like inline. I've ridden over the same potholes in Mercs and Infinity, so it's more comfortable in the Cruise. In almost all reviews, the authors write that Petya is not very suitable for racing, that it still rolls in fast corners, but it is characterized by excellent trajectory stability. Of course, it is not a BMW, but it steers pleasantly. Because of its weight and despite its height, it holds the road very well. It steers perfectly. I emphasize, perfect. Before PT Cruiser, I used Galant 2.5, European, In leather and in full headlining, despite the American pedigree, the character of the car is more European. Suspension is not so soft and energetic as on the majority of American cars. I would say moderately stiff, but softer and more comfortable than my friend's Honda Civic. The handling is excellent. At high speed, high directional stability is maintained. I like the handling, if not at prohibitive speeds. The steering wheel is not cotton. I feel some heaviness. In corners at high speed one should be careful. Of course, the car is short and high. The authors of reviews are no less unanimous in assessing dynamic capabilities. It is clear that GT version with 223 horsepower turbo engine and passport acceleration to 107 seconds is out of competition here. Owners of such cars like very much that on overtaking it is possible not to switch down, and on a highway, to play Carl, a ghost of highway, easily leaving in a rear-view mirror a surprised face of the driver of some Mercedes G500 or Range Rover. But also owners of PT Cruiser with more usual here engines with capacity of 150 and 143 h.p. have no problems with overtaking, pedal to the floor, and here already from 120 you sharply appear on 170, though this beast and 190 goes, without coughing. Here, however, there will be objections. In many reviews authors assert that it is uncomfortable to go faster than 120, as the automobile starts to rock the airflow from oncoming trucks, and the side wind is felt. And very many people note an excellent balance of possibilities of the motor and 4-speed adaptive gearbox, which, despite the antiquity of the design, accelerates the car very smoothly and is not prone to kicking and twitching. But the PT Cruiser was positioned as a city car, wasn't it? How are things in heavy traffic? Well, there are certain problems here. No, it has enough dynamics, but we have already written about a considerable expense, but the main problem of the car owners consider insufficient maneuverability, disgusting turning radius. On Volga 3102 it is probably less. It is difficult enough to park in yards, huge turning radius. Especially it is felt on parking lots and at turns. I feel like a woman on a cart. From minuses it is possible to name only an angle of turning, such feeling, that you turn around. On a Kamaz, radius of turning is simply murderous for this car. It is huge. Owners grumble, they say, it is good for them there, in America, only highways with freeways and there are no Krivokoleni lanes. Or such courtyard wells, as in St. Petersburg. Especially upset this feature of beautiful ladies, which among the owners of PT Cruiser quite a lot. It is beautiful. Except for one thing, it has a huge turning radius. That's it. There are no other faults of this little darling. Well, the main trump card of the model was, is, and will remain for a long time to come her outstanding appearance. Someone loves the great movie Once Upon a Time in America and other gangster sagas, the action of which takes place in the era of jazz, prohibition, and Italian gangsters in hats, with a cigar in their teeth, driving Cadillac 62 and Series 70, Buick Special, DeSoto Airflow, and Chrysler Royal. Some just want their car to be different from the other cars in the stream, as current cars have lost their individuality and become too similar to each other, especially in the budget segment. Someone is happy that even in 10 years the design of PT Cruiser will not become outdated, because the car is originally designed in retro style, and someone likes the fact that the car frankly attracts the attention of girls. They come up and ask for a ride. There are a lot of variants. Cruiser is one of those cars that one falls in love with immediately and unconditionally, and there are many such stories. It was love at first sight. A long time ago, when I saw such cars in Moscow, it did not even occur to me that the price for them can be very adequate, and certainly I did not even dream that someday I will have such a handsome guy. I bought Cruiser by chance. I was going to buy another car. This one stood aside, so nice and beautiful, black and lacquered. For the sake of interest, my wife and I went to look at it. We opened the door and were fascinated by the retro design inside. We drove away. The next day we came back and picked it up. Of course, not everyone likes the appearance of PT Cruiser. In the internet you can meet such assessments, a mixture of post-war Soviet refrigerator ZIS and bag of old lady Shapoklayak. Such design only scare children. Like, if you will be spoiled and misbehave, you will ride on such a car. There is nothing surprising in this. Any extraordinary phenomenon, as a rule, causes very different reactions in different people. But it is not important, but the fact that the car leaves almost no one indifferent. It either likes it to the point of madness, or it is not accepted quite categorically. But in the life of those who like the car, it brings a lot of positive emotions. Passers-by turn around on me with QZ, and children point their fingers. Happy as a herd of elephants. I drive almost every day, and every day at the sight of it almost jump with happiness. I love my Kazenka very much, because it is not like other cars. It has its own, unique zest. When you look at the cars passing by, you will never confuse it with anyone else. Yes, maybe, from this car, and should not expect miracles in terms of dynamics and controllability, but the function of head turner. Neck turner. It performed and still performs just fine. Here, and the owners write that Cruiser is more than a car. It's a personality. Dignified, funky, somewhat clumsy, but respected and charismatic. And taking into account that next year many cars of this brand will enter the category of classic cars, the class of youngtimers. The decision to buy PT Cruiser not so much for daily trips, as for participation in festivals, can be quite justified. It is clear that to bring the purchase to parade festival condition, it will have to invest a lot of labor and money. But, firstly, positive emotions cannot be estimated in rubles, and secondly, compared to the cost of restoration of real rarities, it will be just kopecks. At least for now. In conclusion, the Chrysler PT Cruiser presents a unique blend of charm and practicality, making it an appealing choice for some buyers. Its distinctive design, spacious interior, and affordability are compelling reasons to consider this vehicle. However, potential drawbacks such as its performance, fuel efficiency, and safety ratings may deter others. Ultimately, whether to buy or not to buy the PT Cruiser depends on your personal preferences and priorities. Weighing these 5 reasons carefully will help you make an informed decision that best suits your needs. Thank you for watching, and we hope this video has provided valuable insights into the Chrysler PT Cruiser.